It's wonderful to have the great opportunity to be able to celebrate our parish's feast day even on a Sunday. What a great gift it is for us to be able to honor the Blessed Virgin Mary, Our Lady of Sorrows. And on this day, I think it's important to recognize that Mary was and is the perfect disciple. She stuck with Jesus through thick and thin, and in every moment echoed the words of the Our Father, not my will be done, but thy will be done. At the Annunciation, when the angel Gabriel came, she said, yes, I am the handmaid of the Lord. Be it done unto me according to thy word. She was there from the good times and through the bad times. The great moments of the Nativity on Christmas or the resurrection on Easter, as well as all of those moments of sorrow and suffering depicted so beautifully over here in our 7 sorrows. But in every one of those moments, we were told that she held them in her heart and contemplated them. And I can only imagine that she continually returned back to those moments, praying with them, offering them to God. And it was in the light of the resurrection then that she was able to look back and see how it was that God was working to prepare for that moment of glory, whether it was in the presentation of the temple or losing Jesus in the temple, or going and fleeing to Egypt, or walking alongside Jesus as he endured his passion and crucifixion, and ultimately when she buried him. And for us today, we too are being called to walk alongside with Jesus. Although we cannot step into a time machine and travel back 2,000 years ago and literally walk along with him during his passion. We are given those opportunities when we ourselves endure sorrows and sufferings, no matter what they may be. If it's some sort of medical suffering or a loss in the family, or the struggles to overcome a sin or bad habit, or any kind of strife. God is in those moments. He is there alongside Our Lady. Because as we heard in the gospel, we as disciples are also supposed to, like John, the beloved disciple, take Mary into our homes, into our hearts. So that way that hope and that joy that she experienced in the resurrection can be shined in our hearts, so we can see our own sufferings, our own sorrows, in that light of hope, that God will bring about glory through those moments of suffering. And I think this could be seen through the lens of the liturgy in 2 ways. First, we have the prayer that we had at the beginning of Mass, the collect, which I'll quickly repeat, just that beginning part of it. O God, who willed that when your Son was lifted high on the cross, his mother should stand close by and share his suffering, grant that your church, participating with the Virgin Mary in the Passion of Christ, may merit a share in his resurrection. Whatever we are going through, that is our share in the Passion of Christ. It is in that moment that Jesus is drawing us closer and closer to himself, into a deeper relationship. Because it was our salvation that was won on the cross through suffering. And in a much deeper, more intimate way, he allows us to experience our own salvation in our own sufferings, alongside him. And secondly, just the timing of this feast day. Today, September 15th, Our Lady of Sorrows. Yesterday, September 14th, the exaltation of the Holy Cross. The word exalt comes from the Latin word exaltare, to lift up or to raise. And so at first, we can just see the actual raising of the cross, Jesus being lifted up on the cross. But that is only the first exaltation. Then he is raised from the dead, and he is exalted. And then he is raised into heaven at the ascension and is exalted. And Mary then shares in that exaltation when she is assumed body and soul into heaven, and alongside her son is crowned the Queen of heaven and earth. It was because of what she suffered and her faithfulness to God in those moments that she is allowed to enter into those most holy moments and experience these great exaltations. And we are granted a share in that too, if we, like Mary, turn our lives over to God and to follow him in every moment, in the joys and in the sorrows. And so as we prepare ourselves to enter more deeply into the Mass, as well as to prepare ourselves for our 40 hours devotion, I want to offer to you two prayers that I think we can take to prayer during our 40 hours so that we may be greater imitators of our Blessed Mother as disciples. The first comes from St. Alphonsus Liguori's Meditations on the Stations of the Cross. And he ends every stational prayer with this line: "Grant that I may love you always, and then do with me as you will." God, I love you, and I want to live for you, and I want to live from you. Help me to conform my life to your will. Help me to know that you're going to take care of everything. Which is where the second prayer comes in, from the Surrender Novena. "O Jesus, I surrender myself to you. Take care of everything." My brothers and sisters, we are about to join Mary at the foot of the cross to adore our Lord, who is glorified and exalted. Let us, like her, turn our lives over to his care and to follow him in every moment of our life.